Welcome to the LA Real Estate Podcast on buying and selling real estate in Los Angeles. This is our first episode in our Sellers series. Joining me on the show today is Deirdre Salomone from the L34 group. We'll be discussing the shifting market and how the time of year affects your sale. We'll also be discussing what are some things that a seller should do before they list and 5 things to get out of your house before you sell. In studio today, I have my good pal, Deirdre. Hi, Deirdre.
Hi there.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So for anyone who doesn't have the pleasure of knowing Deirdre in person, we've known each other for almost 5 years. Mm-hmm. And you were my mentor when I first started real estate.
My best. Thank you. Yeah. And look what you've gone on to do.
You're one of my favorite people in the entire world.
Aw, likewise, honey.
And you have the best hair. You can't see this, everybody, but Deirdre has the most amazing hair. You should be, if real estate didn't work out, you should have been a hair model. So thanks for joining us. What did you do this weekend?
Well, besides working, putting a deal together, I hosted and organized a huge memorial for a dear friend.
Wow.
That was all day yesterday. Yeah. It was something.
Hard to work that around work, all the stuff. The weekends are so crazy for us.
Yeah, yeah.
I did, this weekend was Tommy's 8th birthday party.
Aww.
It was very fun and exhausting. He had a baseball game in the morning and then a birthday party in the afternoon. So it was mostly all the same people. It was like, yeah.
Your schedule, great. Your daily schedule astounds me. I mean,
crazy.
Yeah, it is.
We're busy. All right. Well, let's get to it. Talk some real estate. Okay. So Deirdre, everybody is asking me every time I go to a social event, what is going on with the market? Is the market shifting? What do you think about that?
It looks like it is. I mean, the writing's on the wall. We've had an uptick in the market for over 10 years now. And, historically, that's never happened. So it's about time that, we kind of have a little shift in the market. And I can see it, in the higher end, absolutely.
Now, what's interesting about our area, so you are a Highland Park, Northeast LA specialist. Mm-hmm. You do a lot of work in this area, although you do work everywhere, but you know this market really well. So
yeah.
How long have you been doing real estate?
For about 20 years.
So you've seen major shifts in the market.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you see a shift, do you think it's always a sudden change or do you gradually see things?
No. So let's go back to 2006, 2005, 2006, 2007, before, the hit
Big
of 2000. Bust. Yeah, of 2008, there was stop and starts, similar to this market. This last year you'd see uptick and slow down, and everyone is talking about winter is coming, mm-hmm. and kind of expecting it. And so that would affect the buyers, the buyers kind of waiting and seeing. That happened also in 2006, 2007, and then 2008 happened.
What I'm noticing right now is usually when the market shifts, there's a lot of inventory and very few buyers. Yeah. Now, in our market, I represent, I do sellers and buyers, but right now I have a lot of buyers. It seems like there's still a lot of multiple offers on turnkey properties, but properties that need work seem to be sitting a little bit more.
Buyers are getting really picky now. I mean, even over in Highland Park, when you're paying, the average price is about for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in the mid-8s, they want something that, is turnkey. And so some of the other properties, unless they're priced appropriately, will possibly sit for a little bit longer. Our area is a little bit different than some of the other areas in that there are a lot of starter homes for the most part. And so those are going rather quickly. But even, if it's not priced appropriately for what it is, meaning if there's some work to be done and it's in the 8s, it is likely to sit for a moment.
What I'm seeing as well with, like you mentioned, pricing is so incredibly important. And I see a trend is either to price pretty low, get multiple offers, but then later a seller across the street sees what it finally sold for, and that's what they want to price it at. And
Yeah.
I feel like those houses are sitting.
Some of them are, and that's because I think there's just a lot of buyer fatigue right now. I mean, a lot of the buyers have been out there for almost, 6 months to a year,
Right.
losing out on multiple properties.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're leery, if the home across the street sold for $1 million and now the across the street house is priced the same, they're waiting for that multiple offer situation. So they're just watching
drive it up. So if somebody
Yeah.
sees a house priced at $1 million,
Yeah.
they assume it's going to go for 1.2 and they
Yes.
don't even bid.
Yeah. And they'll let it sit for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that too. And we have a lot of predictions that there could be a recession on the rise. The inverted bond market, which we've talked about on previous episodes, that's a big predictor. There's apparently 7 million people 3 months or more behind on their car payments right now in the country.
Yeah.
And we've also mentioned what happens the rest of the country doesn't necessarily affect, especially Northeast LA, in the same way, because we have a very unusual low inventory situation.
We're in a little bit of a bubble here in Los Angeles. I mean, there's more people than houses. We have people that are coming from all over the country and the world to move to our area. The inventory is low. I mean, today I looked, there's about, I think, 57 homes in Highland Park today.
That's very low. That's about,
It's
what
very
would you
low.
say, about a month and a half of inventory?
Yeah. If that, yeah.
And it doesn't turn into a buyer's market until you have 6 months of inventory.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we need a lot more houses to even get remotely close to a
Yes.
buyer's market.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Now, another thing that's happening is interest rates are very low, although they did do a big jump last week.
Big jump. They jumped from, 4 to 3.79 or something.
Right.
So
They're still
yeah.
historically incredibly low.
Yeah.
When we bought our house, the rates were almost 7%. And
Yeah.
people would say, wow, you got a rate in the 6s. Lucky. But obviously, house prices were a lot lower then, too.
Yeah. They're predicted to go lower. I mean, over the next, at least with the various lenders that I speak to that are in touch with that sort of crystal ball, they're
Right.
predicted to go lower, I guess, over the next 6 months.
And then also the time of year. So right now we're in mid-September, which I can't believe we're already mid-September. This year's gone by so quickly. And this time of year, I usually find a lot of people will either sell before the end of September, and if they can't get their house on the market ready to go, they'll wait until the spring after Christmas.
So I have thoughts on that. Because we have this glorious weather in Los Angeles,
Yep.
if you like the heat, we don't have a typical selling season that you would in, the mid-United States or the East Coast. We don't have snow and sleet and all of that. So we have a long selling market. There's a couple holes in that. A couple slowdown periods, definitely Christmas, from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And then sometimes towards the end of August, I think we see a little bit of a slowdown just because everyone's going on vacation.
Well, and I think what's interesting about LA is LAUSD, which is a massive school district. We have 600,000 kids in LAUSD. Go back to school mid-August, which is really unusual. Most people don't go back. Their kids don't go back until in September.
Yeah.
So parents, anyone with children that are school-aged at that time, do not want to move. They don't want to sell. They don't have time to go look at open houses. That's a very busy time of the year, the last 2 weeks of August.
Yeah.
So I always feel that the last 2 weeks of August are actually a decent time for buyers to try and sneak in and not get so many multiple bidding wars.
The deals are made in December at the end of August. Now, it's funny because sellers will often wait. So we have sellers that will put their house on the market up until they'll list up until the end of October, as long as we can kind of get it in escrow by the end of November. If they can't have it sold by the end of November, we have them wait until mid-January, not the spring. What happens in the spring, everyone wants to list their house, and then there's a lot of competition.
Right.
In January, the holidays are over, and people are out and about. Interest rates will still be low, and there's so much less competition.
And I think January, a lot of people get their Christmas bonuses, so they have more money or gifts for down payment. I know clients that have made it their New Year's resolution to buy a house. So it's like, okay, you know what? In January, we're going to start looking. We're actively going to start looking. So that is a good time to list.
That's right.
And there's less competition.
Exactly. I mean, some of our best sales have come when we've, listed in January. And once we can get the sellers to do what we, want them to do to prepare their home for listing, especially if, they have till the end of November to January, then
they can get it done.
Yeah.
And then also, I always feel like this time of year, I don't know if it's why, but I think it might be what you were saying before, that people are choosy right now. I notice a lot more escrows falling out. And falling out of escrow, if you're listening, basically means that someone has gotten their offer accepted, they've gone into contract, and they've changed their mind. They've decided no longer to buy the house. And we've talked about contingency periods on previous episodes. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen. But this is the falling out of escrow, someone just walking away from buying the house. And at this time of year, I see a lot more of that.
We don't have that same experience. I mean, on the listing side,
right?
But on my buyer's team, absolutely,
right. Well,
they're getting deals.
That's what's happening. Mm-hmm. So we've had lately. I've been representing some buyers, and we'll go to open houses or go do showings on houses that were in escrow and have fallen out. Now, sometimes it is because of the condition of the house. I mean, recently I had a client place an offer on a house. They had fallen out of escrow. But we kept asking, was there a reason why it fell out of escrow? Did it have to do with the condition of the house? Was there a major problem? And they said, no, it was all to do with the financing. We did our inspections, and we found a completely failed foundation to the tune of $75,000 to $100,000. And it did not make sense to buy the house at that point.
Had there not been inspections done by the previous buyers?
There were. And they said that they didn't have them and couldn't get in touch with them. So it was a little bit suspicious. But, my clients, I advised them, and we all agreed that it wasn't, at that price, it didn't make sense to move forward. It was too much risk for them. So we did fall out of escrow. But other times, escrow can fall out because someone either just changed their mind or they don't get their loan. So those can be really good buys because they've been on the market for a while. They're usually very anxious to get back into escrow and get the deal done. So, sometimes you can get a good price reduction, but those are good buys.
Yeah.
Here's a seller's tip. Start Mary Kondoing your house long before you plan on selling. Keep your house clutter-free and clean. Get rid of all of your stuff because when you go to sell, it's going to be very overwhelming to pack up. So start doing it now. All right, Deirdre. So let's chat a little about getting your house sale ready. So the first thing, I know you know this very well, is we always have sellers paint the interior of the house because it's usually kind of dusty and old. And I know you have a very favorite color to have them paint.
Well, it's switched. Yes.
This is exciting.
It used to be Swiss coffee, and now it's a Chantilly lace, which is a really bright white.
I love Chantilly lace. Yeah. My laundry room is painted Chantilly lace.
See? It's like a bright, warm white, gallery white, if you will. And things just look beautiful.
We always talk about when a buyer is looking, if you're a seller, think in the perspective of a buyer. When they're looking to decide which houses they want to see, and they're looking at them on their phone, they're looking at the photos that are about 2 inches big, or even smaller, actually. So if you have your house painted a dark color and the photos are dark, they can't see it, and it doesn't look appealing to them.
True. And also, buyers have a hard time imagining their life in a property that has, a multitude of colors or whatnot. I mean, white just gives it a really nice, easy backdrop for, art to be displayed and whatnot, and the hopefully decluttered, staged home.
Right. It's a blank canvas. So painting your house is really important. And we live in LA. There's a lot of options for painters. It doesn't have to be crazy expensive. But we do recommend painting the interior of your house. Okay, number 2, staging. Tell me about staging, Deirdre.
Oh, my goodness. If you're going to spend money on your home anywhere, hire a stager. Hire a good stager. Your listing agent will have, most likely will have, some favorite stagers that you can meet and talk with. And it's really important to stage to the neighborhood that you're selling. What works in Westwood will probably not work in Highland Park or Glassell Park.
So you stage to the tastes of your buyers. And staging is so if you don't know, you most likely do, but if you don't know, staging basically means that you're hiring a professional to get rented furniture or from their inventory to bring it into your house, including artwork, including rugs, accessories, furniture, a lot of the times outdoor furniture, patio furniture. So you're hiring someone to bring in a whole house full of furniture. And a lot of sellers think this is insane because they're like, why would I pay for renting furniture when I have my own furniture right here?
And to that point, there are some stagers. Our stager will often stage with the seller's furniture. They'll help declutter what won't work and dress very much like a stage what the seller has on hand. It doesn't have to be cost prohibitive, and the return on investment is tenfold. I mean, it's the most important thing you can do besides painting the inside of the house.
The houses that are staged, I think the estimate that I've seen, the most recent estimate, is increases the value in Los Angeles by $50,000 in the purchase price. And I would say even more in a lot of situations.
I agree.
So in staging, not only shows the house furnished and feels nice, but you can make a big room feel more cozy. You can make a small room appear to be bigger. We don't try and hide defects because we never want to be fraudulent about the house, but we want to show off its assets.
In its best light possible.
And make it look really nice. I have great stagers too. And people decide to buy. They don't decide to buy based on a list. They buy based on a feeling. When they walk into a house, they get a feeling that this is the right house for me.
It's a visceral decision. And unless it's a decision for an income property or they're not going to be living there, it's something that resonates with, childhood or their dream or whatever. I mean, it's a gut feeling, and staging helps that.
It really does. And then would you say, so my stagers, it's about, I would say, around $5,000 for a 3-bedroom house for a full staging. I know there's some that charge a lot more and some that charge a little less, but would you say that's a ballpark?
Yes, that's a ballpark. And it all depends. I mean, if the stager's working with the seller's furnishings and bringing in art, rugs, accessories, it can be much less than that. If they're doing a complete stage, it's around that. It's around that price. And it's also depending on the square footage of the home.
Yeah, a bigger house is going to be more expensive. And if you're a seller and you're listening to this and you think it's insane to get rid of your furniture, I would just say trust your realtor, because we really do know what buyers are looking for. And we've seen so many houses. We know what helps sell a house. And if we're suggesting that you replace your couch with a different couch, there's a reason why. We're not there to insult your taste, but we are there to help guide you to put your house in the best light to get the most money for the sale.
And to that point, also, way before you're about to put your house on the market, even if you're thinking of remodeling, call your realtor and ask for their opinion.
Do not paint the interior of your house without talking to your realtor first.
Exactly. And don't do that kitchen remodel or whatnot without getting your realtor's opinion about,
That is such a good...
what will happen down the line.
Yeah, that is a really good tip, actually, because we do know what, if you install granite countertops, but the buyers really don't like granite countertops anymore and they prefer quartz, you might have just spent money to make your house harder to sell.
Yeah, we have one seller, and he's going to be, 2 years out maybe. He has asked us to come in and help him sort of, remodel the kitchen, give him ideas for kitchen remodel and bathroom remodel. And I've set up a Pinterest board for him.
Oh, I love that.
And so he has this wonderful Pinterest board for his, Spanish home in the Eagle Rock Hills. And the contractor's coming in and working with these ideas. He's letting us come back in and approve and disapprove. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, that is amazing. And then outside too, landscaping.
Yes.
It's an important thing where we live in LA, where a lot of people spend a lot of time outside. Mm-hmm. People entertain outside. We don't really have seasons. We just have hot and not as hot. And then, it's hot.
True that.
Those are our seasons. So landscaping is really important. And I'm seeing a trend right now for more of a desert style landscaping, low water, which is great for everybody.
Yeah, 100%. I'd say number one, make sure the inside is ready to go because we can work with the outside if that's, the end of your budget. But landscaping is really important for curb appeal, and it can be done, rather
very inexpensively.
Yes. Yeah.
And our main photo on the listing, the first photo most people see is usually an exterior photo. And if that's the case, although sometimes I trade it up if there's a really amazing room with peak ceilings or something inside. But a pop of color, some really nice, beautiful green plants, they make a huge difference in the pictures.
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, another thing that is very important is cleaning your house. I didn't even have it on my list today, but I'm adding it. Before your stager comes in, please clean. Hire cleaners. Get the house spotless. It makes such a difference in the photos. If the floors are streaked, some of this stuff will show up in the photos. Getting the windows washed. Really inexpensive things, but it can make your house shine when we're showing it.
Absolutely. And if you're still living in the home, it's about surfaces, sweetie. Like clean all the surfaces of the kitchen and the bathroom. Take your personal effects, your toiletries, shove them in the cabinet or whatever. No one wants to see that. They just can't imagine them living there with all of your personal, utensils and et cetera in the kitchen.
And then retrofitting. So in Los Angeles, we have the requirement when you're selling to have smoke detectors, carbon monoxide installed. You need to have a seismic shutoff valve, double strap your water heater. I always recommend sellers do it before listing. So when you get into escrow, there's a whole bunch of things that you're responsible for. Most of it is paperwork. But I like to just be proactive and get all the things done ahead of time that you're going to have to do anyways. Yeah. So you might as well just do them ahead of time.
Well, nowadays, too, in the last year or so, the appraisers are expecting when they come in to your property, once you're in contract, one of the first questions the appraisers will ask is a water heater strapped and braced? Do you have all of these LA City required retrofitting
right. And this is not retrofitting your foundation. This is something different. This is, all the city mandated requirements. And it's important. So get all this stuff done before you list.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's another seller's tip. Write down a list of upgrades you've done in the house and the year the upgrade was done. This is really helpful for your agent. So if you put in a new AC, if you've had the roof replaced, if you've updated the plumbing, write it down and give it to your realtor. All right, 5 things to get out of your house before you list. Medications. Did you know this is the most stolen item at open houses is medications?
Not surprising.
Right. So any medicine, pills, get them out of your house or have a safe or somewhere very safe to put them in, but just get them out. Number 2.
Personal photos. Come on.
Yeah.
We love the pictures of our family and our kids and all the cute cuddlies, but a buyer cannot picture their lives inserted into your life if it's all over the home.
Right. When you walk in to an open house and there's photos of someone else's family, it feels like you're visiting someone else's home. It does not feel like it could be your home. Okay. Number 3. This is my favorite word, and I know I've heard you say this so many times. Tchotchkes. So many tchotchkes. How many times have you gone into a house and just like every inch of the house is full of tchotchkes?
Exactly. The Yadras, the model cars, etc. Yeah, no tchotchkes, people.
People love their stuff. They love their stuff. And we love that you love your stuff, but it's not going to help you sell your house and it's not going to get you the most amount of money for your house. So remove everything, all of your baskets, all of your bowls that you love. And you can show them to us. And if there is something that we really love, we might pull from it and use it
for staging.
Yeah. But we don't need, 1,000 cat figurines. Maybe only 500.
Just 500.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, pet smells. I had to write this down. This is a hard topic to bring up to sellers because it's really hard to tell someone that their house is smelly. And when you're living in a house and it's smelly, you sort of become immune to the smell.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it is one of the, besides cigarette smoker smell, the pet smells are a number one deterrent. I mean, if someone walks in and there's a pet smell,
it's not good.
It's not good.
Do you have any tips for getting rid of pet smells other than getting rid of the carpets?
Well, we've used a product called Ozone before, and it's pretty effective. In fact, we've got a home on the market now where there's still a little cigarette smell. And so we've put the Ozone in all the various corners, and that's been very helpful. Baking cookies.
Right, baking cookies.
When we're at the listing. But really, if there's an ingrained pet smell, that nothing will get it out except for, if it's on the wood, you have to most likely replace that bit of wood. If it's in the carpet, change the carpet out. Nothing really gets that out.
Right. It's something that you should be aware of, though. If you do have pets, your house probably takes on the smell of the pet. So it's important to get rid of the odor before selling. Okay. And then the last thing is just very personalized decor. So anything that is a very bold choice, really, again, like we say, we paint to make it feel like a blank canvas. So when somebody comes in, they see vision. They can see, I can picture my furniture here. I can picture my artwork there. So if you have very individualized taste, it's going to be a little bit harder to sell.
Exactly. And I would go back to actually number one, medications and jewelry.
Oh, yes.
Let's get the jewels and watches and, anything valuable out of the house in a safe lock or whatnot.
Right. Any valuable things. And, even things like tickets to a Dodgers game or just things that you have that are value, put them away. Now, when we're there for open houses, we're always in the house as agents. We can't be in every room.
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I try and do an open house with one other person, but it's really hard to be everywhere. And sometimes people are tricky. I mean, it's just important. It's your stuff. If it's valuable, do not leave it in your house.
No, absolutely. We're there to sell your home and to have conversations with the people coming in. And we can be tied up in a conversation while their friend or someone is, pilfering the jewels that are left in a drawer. So lock them up, get them away.
And you just get them out of the house, to be honest. Just keep them out of the house while you sell.
Agreed.
Thank you so much for listening to the LA Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sara Skelton. With me today was my pal, Deirdre. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been fun.
And don't forget to check us out on social media. All of the information will be in the podcast notes. So thanks to Mike DeLay in the studio, CP Patterson's out there somewhere. And thanks to you for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
My last name is Salomone.
What?
Yeah.
I've been saying Solomon since I've met you.